to our briefing. In the beginning, let me offer our deepest condolences on the loss of lives in the tragic accident in AJK. Let me also reiterate our strong condemnation of the terrorist attacks in Kabul on 2nd November. We share the pain and suffering of the families who lost their loved ones, and we condemn terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. By way of a roundup of diplomatic activities and engagements, as you would have followed, there was a telephone call between Foreign Minister Qureshi and his Australian counterpart on 1st November, during which the whole range of issues relating to bilateral cooperation and regional situation, including Afghanistan, came under discussion. Separately, Foreign Secretary Suhail Mahmood met with visiting Special Representative of Australia on Afghanistan and shared our perspective on the regional situation. In line with the digital diplomacy agenda under Vision Foreign Office of the Foreign Minister's thought leadership and Prime Minister Imran Khan's vision of catering to the needs of overseas Pakistanis, Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi launched the Foreign Ministers Portal for all 114 Pakistan missions covering 187 countries. This app will help the Pakistani diaspora in several ways, including by facilitating document attestation through QR codes, online verification of powers of attorney, reducing chances of counterfeiting, and providing instantaneous access to the Pakistani community to a robust complaint registration and redressal systems with our missions. Further, in continuation of the Foreign Minister's FM Connect agenda for greater stakeholder inclusivity, a delegation of young entrepreneurs from the Lahore chapter of Global Nonprofit Entrepreneurs Organization called on the Foreign Minister. The Foreign Minister spoke about the priority attached by Pakistan to economic diplomacy in the context of policy shift to geoeconomics and called for win-win partnerships between government and private sector for economic development and prosperity and greater trade and investment opportunities for Pakistan. Also, yesterday, the Foreign Minister received European Parliament's delegation for relations with countries of South Asia, led by Mr. Nicola Procaccini. The Foreign Minister noted that Pakistan-EU strategic engagement plan provided a solid framework for multidimensional cooperation and reaffirmed Pakistan's readiness to continue to work for a productive and constructive partnership with the European Union. Besides the mutually beneficial GSP Plus facility, there was also an exchange of views on Afghanistan. The Foreign Minister also apprised the delegation of the widespread violations of human rights and international humanitarian law in IIOJK. In the context of our continuous engagement with regional partners, the Secretary of the Security Council of Uzbekistan, Lieutenant General Viktor Makhmudov, led a delegation to Pakistan from 1st to 3rd November. He called on the Prime Minister, the Foreign Minister, and held one-on-one meeting and delegation-level talks with National Security Advisor Dr. Moeed Yusuf. Bilateral cooperation with specific focus on geoeconomics vis-a-vis our Vision Central Asia policy. Besides regional issues including Afghanistan were discussed in various interactions during this visit. The two sides also signed a protocol to establish a joint security commission. Last week, as you would have followed, we also commemorated the 76th anniversary of the founding of the United Nations. Foreign Secretary Suhail Mahmood, speaking on the occasion, noted Pakistan's constructive contributions to the work of the UN in promoting the UN Charter principles, peacekeeping, refugee protection, humanitarian action, climate change, and international cooperation for sustainable development. Notably, he also underscored that the people of Jammu and Kashmir awaited the exercise of their inalienable right to self-determination as promised to them by the resolutions of the UN Security Council. Coming over to the situation in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Ladies and gentlemen, we are deeply concerned over the grave situation in IIOJK with continuing widespread violations of human rights and international humanitarian law by the Indian occupation forces. In continued acts of state terrorism, Indian troops martyred 22 Kashmiris during the month of October in IIOJK. The people of the occupied territory continue to suffer under India's brutal military siege. Extrajudicial killings, arbitrary arrests, and detention of Kashmiri youth, harassment, and custodial torture continue with impunity, while fundamental freedoms are suspended and Hurriyat leadership remains incarcerated. It is condemnable that Kashmiri students continue to be penalized, threatened, and persecuted by India over a cricket match between Pakistan and India. This is reflective of the extremist, anti-Muslim, and anti-Kashmiri Hindutva mindset in India that Pakistan has been forewarning about, and you would have seen the international media has covered this particular aspect in detail. We have also noted with serious concern the reports about Indian occupation forces setting up a so-called new investigation agency in IIOJK. This could be another repressive tool to further terrorize Kashmiris. We strongly condemn this continuing state-sponsored terrorism in IIOJK. Pakistan is also highly concerned about the frightening number of incidents of xenophobia, hate speech, hate crimes, discrimination, and grave violations of the religious freedom of Muslims and other minorities, including Christians, Sikhs, and Dalits in India. It is extremely reprehensible that minorities, particularly Muslims, are being unabatedly attacked by extremist Hindutva brigades with impunity and state complicity in BJP RSS regime. Disturbing recent incidents, including stopping Muslims from offering Friday prayers at several places, attacks on many mosques and Muslim businesses in Tripura, rendering Muslims homeless and landless in Assam, victimization of renowned persons, targeting of Urdu language of Muslim minority, and violence against Muslims on flimsy pretexts are clear signs of this fascist polity in India. We call upon the international community to play its role to stop this rising tide of Islamophobia and attacks against minorities, particularly Muslims in India, and ensure their safety, security, and well-being, and protection, in particular, of their places of worship and heritage sites. With this, I conclude my remarks, and I'm happy to take your questions.